Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So this video is going to be a little bit about some of the technical aspects and interesting ideas that over the course of my experiences delving into the esoteric and the higher planes of consciousness, I've come to realize that, and I've said this before, and I think plenty of you are starting to become aware of, the world's not what it seems, and there's a lot of invisible yet very, very influential forces that can either positively or negatively impact your life and the life of the people around you. So, some of the forces and depending on which way you look at things and how conscious you are, these different forces can be manipulated, and with practice they can actually benefit you. So what I'd like to start with is saying that I've been meditating for at least the last year. I try to do it daily, but I can't necessarily do it every day. And over that time, I've been able to, I guess you could call it, train myself to alter my state of mind without any use of drugs or alcohol, by controlling my breathing, aligning my chakras, and all this, and just doing research on YouTube and other media outlets that have already done a lot of this research before on their own. Because this is not new information. This has been available to every person on this planet for thousands and thousands of years. And it was hidden. It's been buried for a time through the powers that be, different governments, different countries, people that wanted to control information, because knowledge is power. And if you want to be power, then you have to know what other people don't. So that's a very vague and roundabout way of saying that I think that one of my callings may be to be a provider of that information. So I'm going to do it. If anyone listens to it, fantastic. If nobody listens to it, well, at least the information's been put out there. Okay, so to start off, when I was younger, my dad was a chemist, so he always instilled in me a curiosity. Instead of playing video games when I was a kid, I did a lot of outdoor camping, hiking, playing on my, riding bikes and stuff like that, exploring. Basically, I didn't have parents around me all the time controlling what I did. That combination of the scouts and the strong family values always kind of focused me on wanting to assist other people, because it brings joy to me. I enjoy it. I like when other people are happy. And as I've gotten older, I went through my 20s, and that was a blur. And I hit 30, and I was kind of like, okay, I guess life needs to settle down now. But it just didn't. It just got more confusing. So that's when I turned to alternative ideas, trying to meditate and, looking into some older knowledge, the chakras and the chi and the duality of the universe and our existence, which really kind of, once you're aware of it, it makes a lot of sense, especially in the day-to-day routine of living in the 21st century. So the more I looked into this stuff, the more I could kind of relate it to my everyday life. And then, because I had the background of curiosity and education, I would take the information that I'd learned and I would try to apply it to current situations. And it fits like a puzzle. It fits right in there, which is kind of disturbing, and to the point where I've put off doing this for so long because I was afraid that I would just sound crazy saying it. But I think it's real. I do think that the more tuned in you are to this plane of existence, the more control you have over the unseen energies that flow, ebb and flow through our universe. And that's energies from you, me, the air, the plants, nuclear radiation, microwaves, X-rays, gamma rays. Even, if you think about this, when you were in elementary school, they taught you solid, liquid, and gas. What are they? They're just molecules. Molecules vibrating at different frequencies that give different physical properties to the same types of matter. So if that happens in our everyday matter that we can see, why wouldn't that happen with the energy waves that we can harness? Because it does. So basically the split, and this is the problem. This is my only one of the first few videos I've done. So as I get more into this, I think they'll be a little easier to listen to. But my mind jumps from subject to subject. I do try to get as much information out as I can, but sometimes I get bogged down on myself like I'm doing right now. So bear with me for that. Over the next few videos, that'll become a lot less intrusive. Back to what I was saying. There's this experiment done that many people are aware of. It's called the, I forget the name of the experiment, but what they did is they fired electrons at a couple of slits in the wall, and scientists, when recording the experiment, found that the electrons landed in a specific pattern that they mathematically figured out before the experiment started. So that was a positive. The problem was when the scientists were not measuring what was happening during the experiment, and they just went and saw the final results. The results were completely different. So this idea was a spark of the quantum mechanics idea that energy is both wavelengths and particles. Light energy, X-ray energy, the energy that flows through us. It all comes in every form possible. And this goes back to the science, the idea of solids, liquids, and gases, and the different vibrations that would cause molecules and other, bits of information to travel in different ways, or manipulate themselves in different ways. So when you can think of things with that idea in your head, then suddenly you start wondering if possibly you could use that in order to physically change or manipulate the environment that you currently live in. And it works. It doesn't work all the time, but the more you practice at it, the more you'll see things kind of lining up in very specific patterns, whether they're positive or negative. And I firmly believe that the more positivity you give out, the more positivity you get back in your life. I also believe that if you're negative, your life is going to be negative. But for everybody, whether you're living a positive life or a negative life, sometimes things happen, because that's what it is. It's life. And although you may not be able to physically control that, to an extent, you can harness the energy and use it toward your future plans, basically learning from your mistakes. So this idea of learning from your mistakes, being aware, knowing that this energy that flows around us is a real thing, and although it may not be able to be measured scientifically yet, it has definite impacts. And I can say that because I've experienced it 100% for myself. It's a hard thing to explain to people. And kind of happened. And when I thought back to how everything happened, there was no starting point. I happened to be in an environment where I was privy to some of this basic information, and the curiosity piqued me, and so I continued to research it. And now I find myself trying to relay this information to as many people as I can, because I feel like it's just going to create a positive outlook for everybody that is aware. A lot of my friends and family have looked into this as well, and I've not heard anyone come back to me and say that this is incorrect. I don't like doing this, so that's good. I don't know. So listen, I think I'm going to end the video here because I'm kind of running out of things to say at the moment. I got to get my thoughts back together. If you guys have any suggestions for video editing, or if any of you have felt this way about particular events in your life, leave it in the comments or post a reply video. I'm on all social media. Renaissance Deviant is my YouTube channel. Ray Whitehouse at Facebook.com, and I'm on Instagram as well. I just like to hear what other people have to say about this, and I really want to keep making these videos. There's not a lot like them on the internet yet, as far as I can see. Ryan Cropper is one of the guys that I've found that seems to be very advanced in his techniques, and he actually does tutorial videos on how to get to his higher level of consciousness, which I would love to start doing at some point, but I think before I can do that, I just have to clarify to everybody what exactly I've been experiencing. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm going to try to post another one today, and I'd love to hear back. Have a good afternoon.